Hey everybody, Justin Watches Movies here. Hope everybody is doing well. It is time to talk about Spider-Man 3, the moment I've really been dreading because as a kid, I really enjoyed this movie. I was young and naive, and at that time, really anything that came out was my favorite movie. And I was a little skeptical of going back and watching this movie because since then, people have trashed this movie like no other. And so going into it with adult mind, I was a little bit worried and excited to rewatch this film. And I'm kind of mixed with this film. This is once again directed by Sam Raimi and once again stars Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. Things are finally going well for Spider-Man. He has the girl of his dreams, Mary Jane, but there are a lot of villains in New York City that are creating havoc for Peter Parker's life. We have the Sandman, who we learn is the actual true killer of Uncle Ben. We have Eddie Brock, who eventually becomes the Venom, and Harry Osborn, now knowing the truth of Peter Parker, takes on the role of the Green Goblin. I'm a bit mixed with this film. I do understand the jumbled storyline, and that honestly is where my issues land with this film, but there are some good things with this film as well. Some of the good things in here, there's some pretty good action sequences between the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. I do really like the look of the suit. I really do like the black suit for Spider-Man. I think it looks great, even though it looks the same as Spider-Man, just black. I kind of like it. I think the Sandman looked pretty cool, Venom looked pretty cool, the Green Goblin looked pretty cool. The film looks cool. There is some pretty obvious CGI thrown in this film that wasn't really in the first and second one. It stands out in this movie, but where this movie really falters for me is definitely the storyline and jumbling three villains all together. When it boils down to it, some of these storylines really feel pointless. We have Flint Marko, who is the Sandman, and he needs money for his daughter, and we learn that he is the actual true killer of Uncle Ben. I really feel like they should have just kept that storyline dead and not added anything to it. And I really do think that Sandman is not needed, even though his action sequences are pretty cool, and it is cool to see the Sandman on screen for the first time. I really think that their storyline was a bit of a mess for him. And then we have the storyline of Eddie Brock. You could have kept Eddie Brock and not done anything with it. Just like they had Dr. O'Connor's in the second one and they didn't do anything with that. Just leave it where it is. Just have Eddie Brock hinting at maybe the fourth film that they never did. I really feel like this film should have just focused on Harry and Peter and just left it at that. Have Harry be the big villain in here because they've been working on that relationship. They were great friends in the first one, but there was a little jealousy from Harry towards his dad and Peter. And then Harry kind of hated Peter because he wouldn't tell him who Spider-Man was. Then he learns who Spider-Man is. So they've all been working at this relationship, and I really feel like that should have been the central conflict to this film and leave it at that. But instead it was like the backstory to the whole movie, and they had all this other stuff. Now the scenes that everybody just disagrees on is when Peter gets the evil symbiote to himself and he becomes the black suit Spider-Man, and he becomes an edgy emo person, and I could tell where they're going with that sequences, but it comes off so stupid. I feel like they should have had him be mean and rude versus he still kind of was, but he was also emo and really obnoxious and very cocky. And it did come off, like I said, obnoxious and very corny. I think they should have just kept him like rude and mean, not just emo looking and obnoxious little twat. But when it comes down to it, there are so many storylines in here that all jumble around that just feel like there's no clear focus to the film. You got the Sandman and his daughter, you got Harry and Peter, you got Mary Jane and her theater act, you got the love triangle between Harry, Peter, and Mary Jane. Then you get Gwen Stacy to create another love conflict. Then you got Eddie Brock, and then you got Aunt May. There's so much going on in this movie, and I really feel like if they narrowed it down to one, maybe two storylines, it really would have worked. But instead, they try to expand too much, and it just caught up to them. There are some good things I like about it. The action sequences are pretty cool. I really like the look of the film, the suits, and the villains are cool looking. But other than that, there's not much that can really hold this film down. And this is a big disappointment from the previous film because I do think that Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, along with Spider-Man. And to have this movie come out after the success of the first two, it was a big disappointment. I'm going to go ahead and give Spider-Man 3 a D+. Big jump from the previous A+ to a D+. I really wondered what Spider-Man 4 would have been like if they would have went the storyline of the Vulture. I think they could have started brand new after maybe the end of the story with the Green Goblin. So thank you guys for watching all of my Spider-Man reviews. You can find the link down below for Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 reviews. Look forward to the review of Spider-Man Homecoming coming Thursday night, and with a ranking video of all 6 Spider-Man films on Friday. You guys are the best as always. This is Just Watches Movies, and you stay classy, YouTube.